the occupied Poland was divided into two parts, and the northwestern part was totally annexed by the Germans, and from here the Poles were actually told to leave the place. All their property was also confiscated by the Germans, and their children and the Poles were mercilessly killed. But the exceptions were to those Polish children who were good looking, the ones who looked like Aryans. They were forcibly taken away from their parents and they were kept in German homes so that they could learn and respect the German ideology. So, such were the cruel acts of Hitler against humanity. Well, Hitler was much interested in the youth of Germany because he felt that it is the youth which makes the nation. So, he wanted to teach them the Nazi ideology. He wanted to tell them that the German race was superior to all the other races and that they were pure Aryan race and they had to preserve it. Well, here in the schools, first of all, the lessons which were given to the children were that the Jews and the Germans children were not told to sit together. They were segregated. Sports was created such that violence and aggression was taught to the boys and the girls were told to be docile. Then the textbooks were rewritten. Hitler was worshipped and the pure Aryan race that had to be kept in mind. All those children who were good looking, they were actually taught to become good and to become masculine in life. The books glorified war and the young folk, that is all those under 14, they had to do what? They had to join the Nazi party. And here we see that the Nazi idea of race was infused into the youth of the Germans, wherein they started idealizing aggression, Hitler, revenge and the idea of good looks. Well, the reaction of the common people was mixed. Not everybody was with Hitler. There were some who did see all this through the eyes of Hitler and they justified the acts. But there were many who felt that whatever Hitler was doing was absolutely wrong. And there is Pastor Niemöller who wrote beautifully that they came looking for communists, but I was not a communist. Then they came back and looked for a socialist democrat, but I am not a socialist democrat. Then they came back again and looked for trade unionist. I am not a trade unionist. Then they came again and looked for Jews, but I am not a Jew. Then ultimately they came and looked for me, and there was no one left who could stand up for me. So those were the pains and sufferings of the common people, which clearly indicated that the German police, the Gestapo and the others came and picked up the undesirable as termed by Hitler, wherein if they were Jews, if they were trade unionists, if they were socialist democrat, or if they were communist, or they were Poles or the gypsies, they were all picked up and murdered mercilessly by Hitler and were put in concentration camp and were gassed. Such were the cruel torture that Hitler had given to humanity. And I continue with the concluding chapter in the next clipping.